All right.
All right.
Good morning, everybody. Call the meeting to order. The meeting of the Texas State Technical College Board of Regents is called to order this Thursday, February 12th, 2026 at 10:42 a.m. Jonathan, could you please lead us in the invocation?
My pleasure. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and for the reminder in creation that you are always bringing growth and renewal. We pause to acknowledge that all wisdom, opportunity, and provision come from you. Today we give thanks for lives of service, especially Gail's service, as well as Stan Lambert, our trailblazer. Thank you that we had a moment to honor them. Lord, you have entrusted us with a wonderfully diverse family of campuses and programs, each on its own journey, new beginnings, long-standing legacies, and growing campus communities, each with unique needs and potential. As we speak about vision and the future today, guide us to steward our resources wisely, to invest with discernment, and to lead with both courage and care. Thank you for those who have traveled far to serve in this work together. Now grant this board wisdom, clarity, and unity as decisions are made. May our actions reflect responsibility, integrity, and a deep desire to serve others well. We lift up those facing illness or hardship, and we ask for safe travels as we return home. We place this day and this work in your hands. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Jonathan. We'll now determine a quorum. I'll call your name and request you indicate your presence. Rob Misso.
Present.
Keith Honey.
Present.
Dr. Kathy Stewart.
Present.
Dr. Tiffany Tremont.
Present.
Ron Rohrbacher.
Present.
Lizzie Delgarza-Putman.
Present.
Curtis Cleveland.
Present.
Eric Beckman is absent. And myself, Ron Whittup. We do have a quorum. Regents, you have the agenda before you. Are there any amendments to the agenda? I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you, Tiffany. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. So approval of the minutes. Next, we'll consider the minutes of the November 2025 board meetings, and you have those minutes in your board materials. Are there any corrections to the minutes? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy.
Second.
Thank you, Keith. Any discussion?
Oh, quick question.
Yes.
If we joined virtually, is there a mention of it?
Question is, if you joined virtually, is there
Right.
mention in the minutes? Let's check that.
Yeah, it says there that you joined virtually. Under determination of quorum, it lists who was present and that you joined
Yeah.
virtually.
Okay. Oh, there I see the other one. Okay, thank you.
I thought I'd seen it.
So that's good?
That's good.
Good, perfect.
Um,
Any other discussion? All right. So those in favor of approval of minutes as presented? Please say aye.
Aye.
And now we've reached the public comment section of our meeting. Procedures for public comment at TSTC board meetings are governed by the Texas statute and the bylaws of the Board of Regents of TSTC. These laws allow for comments from the public on any item contained on the publicly posted agenda before the item is considered by this governing body. This will be the only time during this meeting set aside for public comment. Section 551.042 of the Texas Open Meeting Act restricts the TSTC Board of Regents dialogue in response to public comments. Are there any public comments? The public comment period is concluded. Chancellor, do you have any comments?
I do. I have concise oral comments. I would like to share with you that, although there are many I could do, this meeting today is a bit poignant for me, and I'd like to point out why. It was at this very table 15 years and 3 months ago that the Board of Regents of TSTC selected me to be chancellor. And I was sitting right there, and y'all were sitting right there. And it was a great honor then, and as every day went by for the past 15 years, that honor has done nothing but grown and grown. So I am particularly thankful to be able to work with y'all, and especially with those people back there who make all the magic happen. Some of these West Texans that I see in the crowd right now actually remember when I arrived at TSTC, and that was 26 years ago. So we have some teammates here who truly have some legacy and some tenure. So for all of those reasons, this is a wonderful meeting for me, and I appreciate that. And with that, I conclude my comments.
It's been a good ride thus far. Congratulations. All right, next we'll get into the committee reports and minute orders. We'll begin the committee section of the agenda. First up is the Committee for Student Learning and Student Development. I now call on Regent Lizzie De La Garza Pudnit. Lizzie?
Thank you, Chairman. The Student Learning and Development Committee met virtually on Monday, February 9th, and we discussed several different topics, amongst them some of the recent and upcoming audits, some of the board's new responsibilities as it pertains to the faculty group, Senate faculty, and some action items listed in your books. And I'll ask Jonathan to elaborate on those items.
All right,
Please, Jen.
sounds good. So the first minute order we have is on page 2, and this is something you see every year at this time. This is when we ask the board to consider approval of the new slate of, or all of our programs that are considered either degree or certificate programs. The coordinating board processes, our processes require board region approval of what we're going to go to market with that's classified as degree or program. That's not all we go to market with. Clay and I often talk about what are the needs of industry, and is what we're making what they're buying, and we'll have a bigger conversation about that. And the landscape's changing in that space. So it's not just college that the federal government might consider paying for anymore. So there's something called short-term Pell, and that's kind of uncharted territory for the whole nation, and there'll probably be new governance requirements associated with things like that. So this may be the last time this looks quite like this. We might see a deeper array of offerings, and we're excited to see what might be in store with that. So as far as this one goes, we have a slate of offerings that are provided from page 4 to page 11. We'll list all the programs, where they currently are stood up across the state. And we have a few changes this time around. Our new award offerings are really following from 3 different clustered areas. First, our manufacturing division, which has really been working on this advanced manufacturing topic for a while. We've really worked at creating coherent pathways. We've kind of had disparate pathways all across the state, and our mergers allowed us to really start thinking about how do we approach this more consistently, how do we make that more coherent for students, how do we better serve Texas industry. So this is really the next phase of that. Last year we had the first phase. This will be the second phase, which introduces semiconductor and really consolidates what we call automation and robotics. And then we've got some minor adjustments with our computer related. We've removed what was previously called an advanced technical certificate in that area, replacing it with what can operate more standalone in cloud computing, a CERT level 2. And so that's indicated there. And then the last that is under consideration for offering is around electrical construction. And you can imagine that's a big deal right now with the data center situation. Electrical. I imagine our chair probably could speak very eloquently about this, but our ability to respond to that demand from industry is enormous. And so we're actually in dialogue, looking at licensing and things like that, and are really hopeful for the adoption of an associate degree in electrical construction as early as next spring. But there's some steps in the way of that. So, but we're navigating that well. So we have things called sunset and teach out offerings. These aren't like wholesale program closures. This is where we really take something off the shelf and it probably wasn't being actively sold anyway. Or as we convert a program into a new thing like this advanced manufacturing, we have obligations to teach out in the manner that students signed up with us when they first started. So there's a formal procedure for that, and that's what is considered there. So I ask your approval for our associate degree and certificate programs as proposed. And then Regent Lizzie mentioned our meeting earlier this week. We got to, the working committee got to talk about the 2-minute orders that start on page 12 related to our Faculty Advisory Council. And this has been a fascinating topic. Again, the times are changing, and this is related to a change as it relates to the legislature and its appetites around faculty representative groups, faculty senates, those types of things. And so we are actively engaged with our faculty, sort of talking through, the notions of faculty engagement and what that looks like at TSDC. And we're also having that conversation with the board. And so I'm really grateful for both the board and for our faculty as for the patience as we kind of navigate this and kind of surf between what is our responsibility and what are the outcomes we want as it relates to faculty and faculty engagement and the role of things like this. So, so more to come on this. I think from the discussions we've had, I think it seems like this is a work in progress, and we really want to fine tune what those outcomes are in the months ahead. And so I think that's kind of the sentiment of the committee at this time.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, and I just want to mention that this inventory, I've been asked sometimes back home, do you guys offer, there was a question about HVAC and what we offer, and I was able to refer back to this inventory and just kind of go alphabetical order, HVAC, and I said, yes, we actually have it at the Harlingen campus and these additional campuses. So I think it's a very useful tool whenever we get questions like that. And on the other topic, I just wanted to echo Jonathan's sentiments. With the change in the law, this is new for us, the board having a more involved role as it pertains to these faculty advisory councils. And so we don't take that lightly. And I think that it's incumbent on us to not just rubber stamp things and to really take a deep dive and think about how all of our decisions and actions have to be in the best interest of TSDC. So we discussed it at the committee, Regent Ron and myself, and with the rest of the we just want to do, continue to explore it and come back and just take a deeper dive and see how it is that we can ensure that whatever is done is always with the best interest of TSDC. So given its importance, we wanted to dedicate more time to it.
Very good.
And Chancellor, any additional comments?
No, ma'am, I have nothing to add on that.
Okay, if there are no questions or comments, that concludes our report.
Thank you.
I do have an oral report that I'd like to run through.
Can I make one comment really quick? So it's interesting. So, and I love the fact electrical construction, that focus, because I think the data center space, the demand is absolutely, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. But what people don't realize, you've got semiconductor industry ramping right now, and it's actually truly in a ramp. I mean, there's a lot of hiring taking place, and the data center business is ramping. The common denominator behind the two industries is welding. So I've been called by I used to be in the welding business, and companies calling me saying, look, the number of welders we need right now to support the build of data centers is far greater than we had the need before for semiconductor. So all the cooling systems, the cooling lines, the control lines, there's an unbelievable opportunity, not just electrical construction, but also welding being fueled by those two markets. So something to think about.
Yes, sometimes the culture kind of responds to those things is, oh, how many data center technicians do you need? And I think that's a finite number, but it's the entire ecosystem that it takes to build that and support that. So our teams are very much, we have task force on both of those topics that are really looking at multidisciplinary, demand situations. And so that's well received, yes. Thank you. All right, so this is my time up to bat. We kind of cycle through our different vice chancellors, so I'm grateful that the board let us speak about operations for a bit. I heard this guy talking one time, and he said something about change and higher education, and can't remember. Mike, do you kind of remember hearing something like that? Yeah. So, no, Mike mentioned 15 years ago, and then what y'all may not have seen as much as some of us saw was like him blaze a trail across the state saying, changes are coming, y'all. You better get ready for it or get ready to perish, right? And he was about that direct with everybody. And here we are, my first minute order, second minute order, the landscape for higher education is moving underneath our feet. We're ready. We know it. We've got our center of gravity. And we saw a lot of these things coming, and so we've been preparing for it. One thing that would have been a bit presumptuous to anticipate was an $850 million endowment. But yet here we are, and we're responding to that moment as well. And so golly, I have a million things I want to talk to y'all about. And I started a list like that, and I had to mark through them all and get to the things you needed to hear about. And so our message today is really about how the operations team is really focusing in on the endowment, our readiness for this. And we're just one instrument in the band, that Chad's orchestrating. But it is an important one in terms of responding to the marketplace. And so I wanted to give you the update from where I sit on that. So let me get going. I also heard a guy one time talk about something about budgeting and planning and like some kind of order with that. The chancellor's like drilled into this organization. Planning must precede budgeting. And that sounds obvious, and I think from a bunch of business people's perspective, that's like, yeah, duh. But from a bureaucratic perspective, the bureaucracy lets the budget drive the plan. And when you're talking $850 million, we really have to be mindful that the budget cannot drive the plan. And so what we offer is probably more of a market-centric approach. Let the market dictate that. So as the leadership team contemplates this, they look to Chad, and then they look to Claudia, and they look to me, and they say, what do you need to make? And then we look to Michael, and it's like, what's the market telling us? So it's very much a concert that's occurring. And so this is really the sequence of steps that we're going through as we anticipate this. So I really one of our focus areas for operations was called shaping a vision for our campuses and our programs. That's the question Chad's been asking us. What do you want to be when you grow up? And so this is kind of the approach to how that's working. Starts with the market analysis, right? And that sounds real fancy to some, and it's like, man, what are you gonna make me look at charts, and you're gonna make me, talk to economists? Well, maybe, but we're just gonna first start with a conversation. Every business plan starts with, God, I think I got a problem that I can solve for somebody. Let me test that out. And that's the dialogue we're having with our teams. What problem are you trying to solve? Who's your customer, right? Where are they at? How do you message to them? And so this is our primary customer. right? This is industry on the left, is where they're saying we got job openings, and we got job openings. We got job openings, look over here, and that's what's occurring. And on the right is all of those people like us. There's none really like us, but the ones that try to be us and us on the right that are supplying that marketplace. And so we're really trying to pay attention to where those gaps are, where the biggest opportunities are, to inform what our programming ought to be. So this is what we would call probably accurate but not precise. These are 5, no, 6 clusters that we really use to kind of create our schools. We've got manufacturing, we've got transportation, we've got health-related programs. And these are a few of the disciplines that fall within those. These are like at a high level, low fidelity. It's nursing. That's economic data that really has jumbled a lot of stuff in that, but that's a true indication of there's a real demand. There's real demand for nurses today, and it's growing rapidly. And so each of our programs, has seriously high demand situations that we really want to have inform what our programming is. On the right is kind of where in those clusters those are really showing up. And oh, lo and behold, it's sitting in a triangle. That's where our beachhead moment was for the last 10 years, really trying to tap into that market. So I'm not going to have y'all zoom all the way in program by program, but that's really what's guiding our thinking. Then the next question we have to ask ourselves is, just because they want it, right, doesn't mean we're ready to sell it to you. And so we really have to take stock of our readiness to respond to the marketplace. And that's classic SWOT. We've done a SWOT together when we were working with our strategic plan, developing that. Really being honest with yourselves about, what are we strong at? What are we not so strong at? Where are we fooling ourselves? And kind of what does that look like across a portfolio of programs? That's kind of where we get next in terms of portfolio strategy. So that, again, that rings a bell to all of us, but when we go to academic departments, instructional departments, and we say, how are you managing your portfolio? They're like, Jonathan, like, take that CPA hat off. Like, let's talk through that. And so the conversation is, well, if each of you had an uncle who passed away and you inherited $1 million, what would you do with it? You've got a set of resources, and it's your strategy for how you deal with this new infusion. We were blessed. We inherited a portfolio of assets called campuses, right? So it's up to us to figure out what to do with it, to what objective, to what end do we want to invest in those. And it brings up, so it brings up like where are capacities, what can we leverage, what's our ability to execute and scale, all of these different kinds of things. And getting campuses to think in that way is a bit new. I'm going to paint with a broad brush this morning because it's a bit unfair to describe a campus as a particular type of investment of ours. But like as we dig deeper, we know they're they're responding to more situations than that. But I think for the purposes of this, I think it helps with our metaphor. So what we propose is that we have products, we have assets that really are taking on the characteristics that look like what's described in the classic product life cycle. We have some that are in a startup mode. They're early in they're kind of in their infancy. We might be taking on a bit more risk with them. They're kind of figuring out who they are. And so we've got several that we'll kind of focus in on that are like that. We've got some that are more adolescent. They're in growth mode, right? They're finding their lane. Adolescents, they're like, okay, I'm really figuring out this is my thing and I'm going to nail it down, but then it's still a little wobbly while we watch them grow up. Their maturity There's those moments that like, oh, they're a man, and then, oh, you're still a boy, you know. And I think our campuses can kind of resemble that as they start to approach an acceleration. They have this operational maturity. We have to take stock of that as we think about investing and what their readiness is for. And then we have a maturity stage. I resemble this, you know, and you've got to make some different decisions about discipline at this stage, or we kind of call this the Shawshank Redemption moment, right? Like, get busy living or get busy dying, right? And I think programs and campuses have to confront that as well, you know, and so we'll highlight a bit of that as we go. So this is it. That's the road we're headed towards. So our startups, we've got really 3 meaningful startups right now, and I think these are important to consider as we think about endowment road ahead. Got the online, we got New Braunfels, and we got the worksite. Boy, you couldn't be more different. They just really have taken on a different identity, but that's part of the process. So let's get into them. Trying to load up all the data that's generated from this. So with these 3 new startups, what we know about starting up at TSC is it takes a while to see our results show up. You know, they have to spend time on our campus, they get out into the workforce, and we have to kind of survey back how they do. So the look we'll get from our other campuses, we don't quite have yet. It's not quite in the data yet. But let me tell you, so the online campus is really a post-pandemic thing. In the pandemic, it was assembled. It helped us solve some problems in a crisis. And then it was kind of coasting. And so pretty recently, in the last couple of years, we've named an executive. It has an identity. It's really it's answered these 6 critical questions for itself. It knows what its purpose is. It knows how it's going to compete. And it's fascinating. And it might not be what you expect. Every one of our degree programs is touched by this. This actually gives us opportunities to vet quality. We got something called pre-allied health, and it really kind of preserves the performance of our health-related programs. So we get them a start, and then we get to really use that as an intake valve for that program. And then on the outside, it has the ability to expand some of our programs by delivering big components of it virtually. We're gaining innovation capacity out of this. So startups are pretty cool because you're getting to experiment and see new things. They're really leading the way with Dale on looking at the issue of artificial intelligence, how that does everything from impact our curriculum development to actually deployment and development of our instructional delivery and programming around artificial intelligence. So that's so we're not going to invest a single endowment dollar in this one, right? There's no walls, right? There's no plumbing. But it will invest in your endowment program. So this will actually extend the investments we make from our endowment. So that's helpful to understand from a market asset perspective. New Braunfels, still loading. This, again, this is a mind bender. That campus is unlike anything we've ever seen. That market's unlike anything we've ever seen. I mean, Fort Bend has been amazing. We're blessed, but it's just been, we've released something special there. That market's been so responsive, and our team's been very, has been able to cultivate that into something special. Early outcomes, early indicators look really good. I mean, the retention, the places that we're placing those students are fantastic, but this situation is like bending our mindset around things like capacity. We're setting different kind of records. This might be the place that we actually do a 24/7 kind of situation first. And so that'll be important information in terms of return on investment and endowment. We also have a very active community. So we're anticipating, it's going to be augmented with community support. The work site, altogether different, right? It's the work site's not really college. It's really about training. And that's really what we've discovered. It's an extension of our college campus, but like every bit of the training activity is, you know, Cledia's team is out there really facilitating that and managing the quality control on that. Like, and so that's a really cool situation where it's a blending. It's a startup, so we're figuring out the dance together, and it's fantastic. It's also something else. It's a huge economic development resource, and it's us going in way deeper in terms of economic development in this region. So learning lots of lessons from this innovation, this startup of ours. Okay, that y'all are probably tired of that little circle. The next group of programs are what we call the growth programs. So these are all the ones that we entered into over the last 10 years, responding to, you know, this big skills gap. Let's go to the people, Ellis County, Fort Bend County, Williamson County. So let's talk about them. Fort Bend County. So this is so these are outcomes. So these are actually the result. This is what we talk about WIC 1 and 2 a lot. This is WIC 1 and 2 at a campus level. And so you kind of see this campus, this Fort Bend campus, has had steady growth over time. You know, outcomes we're getting a healthy quality of outcome and a healthy quantity of outcome. But boy, they're figuring out their stride. They kind of have this industry relations alignment. They're very tapped into like Gerdau. They're very tapped into data center. So like this is sort of traditional college, what we're seeing from degrees and certificates, but like they do a lot in terms of workforce training. And so they also do a lot in terms of dual credit. They have industry send their students getting traditional training on our campus. So on any day on this campus, you will see a true blend. You'll see a dual credit student, you'll see a Gerdau student, you'll see a traditional student, all walking the halls. Pretty darn interesting. From a Williamson County perspective, so this was the first. And it's interesting. It's part of a multi-institute teaching center. So we have a relationship with Temple College. We're neighbors. Something like that. But, you know, we're partners, right? We're also very constrained. So from a facilities perspective, you know, you can kind of see, kind of hit the limits here. That might be a little bit partnership. That might be a little bit facility. We've expanded recently in the existing facility, and we're about to get a really big surge with the new advanced manufacturing center. So, but they're finding their lane as this emerging growth campus. Advanced manufacturing is going to be that lane. You know, we're in Williamson County, data center, manufacturing. You know, let's. And so we decided to get out of the culinary business there. That was a moment of, you know, like, let's take a pulse on the market. We really, we need to respond to this moment around industrial training. And so that's what that one looks like. Ellis County. So I misspoke, didn't I? I said the other one was Fort Bend. Okay. Yeah, sorry. This was this is Fort Bend. It's really the blend. Let me go back to Fort Bend because it is, boy, I totally misspoke. Fort Bend, of the three, probably was placed in the most rich market of those three. And y'all seen it, it's right there, so visible, so accessible. It's also blessed with a ton of support. And so it really had wind in its sail. You can kind of, you know, kind of see like building 1 and building 2. Wait till y'all get there later this year and see this new transportation center, and you're just gonna be like, oh my God, I'm in love. It is really great, but it's also a sign that this curve is just gonna keep bending. And so they're finding their lane, but, that is rich with potential, and I'm really looking forward to what's gonna happen there. All right. And then lastly, we've got the zone of mature programs, and it's a mix, right? This is sort of Waco, Harlingen, Marshall, West Texas, the OGs, right? So Waco, this is a long history, right? And this is where you start to see us pivot, and we start looking at what's the quality of what we're putting out there. And so we start to thin some things out, slowly, steady, and then we start to see our quality rise, right? And but this is a massive part of our enterprise. Waco is the big giant. There's just so much engineered program training here. And so I think this probably is our bottom. I think we did confront change or die, right? Like get busy living, get busy dying. Michael has, every spring he gets to tell us about the lead indicator of this, right? And so the lead indicator, one of them is enrollment. And man, we're setting records with Waco. We've had 2 really strong years. So the giant is awake. Oh, he corrected me, 3, right? So what we'll see is that the trailing part of that is these outcomes we expect to really start to surge back up. So that informs our investment strategy. I think if we're anticipating a continued decline, that would be one thing, but something else to consider. Harlingen, wow, what a mixed story. Harlingen, for the longest time, really had an identity of a comprehensive community college, academic transfer. And so what you see through here is a pivot and us sort of phasing out of one line of business as we stand up some new lines of business. And that couldn't happen overnight. Rick's built us some really wonderful capacity to really start to get a rebound on this. I'm really excited about that. I love this. Look at this. Boom. Like, look at that from that. This is your graduate average wage. That is some serious movement. And that's movement I'm really proud of, yes.
Yeah. Is there something we can pinpoint from 21, 22, that big spike in wage?
Yeah, so this is a lag from COVID. There's weird, that's, yeah, the COVID period had some weird timing things, delays in semesters, and so what we end up seeing is the trailing impact from those delays and stuff kind of all dumped in that 21. And you'll see it in all of these spreadsheets, little boop at 21.
Is there a way to put industry demand or total hiring opportunity in each area so we can look at the available market and the opportunity to?
Yeah, that's the conversation that we're having. So every campus, every program, from a regional perspective, from a statewide perspective, those are the lenses that we're having them put on. Absolutely, yeah. It's really, and I'm tempted to go there with you.
I'm sorry, yes. Yeah.
Can I point out one more thing about that?
Harlingen?
Harlingen is an example. I've seen this. This trend has been here a couple times now. See these levers right here? Remember that a student is in the pipeline for an extended period of time until the moment they leave. And then they're gone. So when you have a spike like this, you're naturally going to have a fall because these are students that may have otherwise continued into these years. And we've seen that now in nearly every graph that Jonathan showed us. This was a result of COVID right here, where people left and they went away. So I wouldn't expect this. You could then therefore consider something of a low water mark because of that one-time shuffle out, if you will. And I think we're gonna see some nice growth from this point forward. Do you want to speak to that?
Well, and the earnings boost is due to divestment of programs that had no earnings.
This year was an interesting year. We just, this report that we had on new programs, we had a teach out list, a sunset list on that was significant. It was statewide. And we said goodbye to a lot of tuition. We said goodbye to a lot of students that we previously served because we were not proud of what that was pulling their earnings, their outcomes, as well as ours. Marshall, steady as they go, right? So we don't see as much volatility, and we see that continued climb. This original program mix was curated by an economist. Dr. Gary Hendricks was president out here that really handpicked a lot of these programs. And so, man, they're just a machine, and strong earnings, really steady outcomes. Yeah, COVID dip, but and we're continuing to, now we're getting some a couple of years of strong enrollments. So I think we'll see this trailing outcomes kind of follow with that trajectory. West Texas. It's complicated. It's a microcosm. My friend Chad always pulls out definitions. I'm like, I don't even know what word you used yesterday. I'd heard of microcosm, but what was it? Exothermic.
Exothermic, yeah.
I don't know what that is, but microcosm. Microcosm is a community, place, or situation regarded as encapsulating in miniature the characteristic qualities or features of something much larger. West Texas is a microcosm of the state. They've got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And so as we look at West Texas, we kind of look across the spectrum. Abilene, kind of in the middle there. It's got an interesting history. I mean, look at that. It's just, so before our online campus became our online campus, these guys had kicked off some of these online campuses. And so you see some of that, in these early dates. And then, we're a system, so we share. We created the online campus. They used to be at the Highway 80 location. It was an old hospital. Now they're on this campus on the hill by the airport. Everybody sees it. It's beautiful. It's just incredible. But in a lot of ways, that new campus on that hill is acting like a startup. It's just so much new capacity. And so I really kind of qualify it as that. And there's some uncertainty around this. Like we said, data centers hitting this area hard. Y'all's hotel for this was probably really, really hard to book. If you want to get a house out here, good luck, right? So that's impacting this region in a really good way. And then we got this, right? The situation, Sweetwater, Breckenridge, Brownwood. Sweetwater is this cute campus on a hill. It's remote, it's residential. And so we'll get into a conversation about all three of these that really have been here, with us at the dance for a long time. And so now it's time to, what's our appetite? Where are we headed with these? And we got to look at what they are first, be honest with ourselves. So this is Sweetwater. It's fascinating. This is kind of very beginnings, the old contact hour days. And they could get them in here, right, and then really play the enrollment headcount game. But it really, they abruptly really started to rethink the game early about what is the game that we need to be in. And so we really saw a shift quicker than anybody else. But then look at that, strong earnings, a lot of graduates with these wages, right? But this is interesting. When we talk about maturity on the product life cycle, this is what we're warning against, right? That's a concern. Right? And part of what happened was we had to intentionally focus our resources on our startups. Everybody was watching. We're going hard into the metros. And sometimes the family has to kind of all pitch in, and there's lean times. And there was lean times, and I think they hit especially hard here. I mean, we even had a dadgum dorm burned down out here. Like, that was devastating. And so this is kind of what we saw. And not too long ago, somebody waved a red flag and said, guys, this is what's happening out here. And so this group of folks walked around this campus, and we took stock of every square foot of this place. And then we said, that's not good enough. We don't get to pick these campuses. Like, we were handed them. And so, so we don't take that lightly. And so we're, it's just been incredible to see what's happened out here. We were willing to write some big checks and say, y'all go cash some checks and go fix it. And it was like, no. And what they did instead was they waved a red flag, and they said they did what they used to do here. When they raised up the windmill together, everybody came, the whole community came, and they rallied. This thing's gonna bend again. It's not gonna be a boomerang, but it's gonna be something we're really proud of. But that's where we're at. We're approaching all this with eyes wide open about what's our readiness, and we're gonna be good stewards of this endowment. So anyway, we're here. We had to tell the story. So, okay, thank you for indulging me. This is Breckenridge. I mean, we've just totally changed the game for these folks. And so, and this is a community we were handed. And so we have to figure out, what are we gonna do with this? This is a couple programs in Breckenridge, welding and nursing. They're strong programs. They're good programs. We do have some deficits. We've got some issues. We've got things we got to work through, and we're committed to that. We've got good leadership. They're hungry. They're on fire. We've got good partnership occurring. I see good things ahead. Brownwood, similarly, I think we're seeing an even stronger rebound in Brownwood. Breckenridge is a tricky one. It's that population density situation is real, and so we got to face it eyes wide open and understand what are our expectations we can have here. So yeah, it's a microcosm. It's complicated. We're not scared of complicated. So this is your portfolio. This is how we're thinking. And so we're readying ourselves. We're thinking program by program, similar to this. What's the market need? What's our readiness to respond? And so it's an enormous challenge. But this year, every single program will have sized this up for the very first time. I'm really looking forward to that. This is one part of the band that's getting ready for the concert. We're looking forward to our conductor taking us through it. We will dance to the beat of industry. And that concludes my report.
Very good. Anything else, Lizzie?
Oh, no, Chairman,
Nope.
thank you.
All right,
Those are
thank
good.
you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Lizzie. Appreciate that. We'll now call on Rob Misso, Chair of the Fiscal Affairs Committee.
Cool. Thank you, Chairman. Good up. The Fiscal Affairs Committee met virtually on Tuesday, February 3rd. I was going 85 miles an hour down the tollway, so unfortunately, but I made it. So
You were not going that slow.
yeah, well, listen, I mean, I'm not going to admit to anything illegal here. So, so to discuss the minute orders and reports in front of you. So we've got right now the committee has 1 minute order to consider and 6 reports in your materials for the board to hear. Chad, thank you for stepping up.
Thank you. A lot of standard reports here. We have 1 minute order, 6 reports, as Regent Bissell mentioned. The first and only minute order is on page 17. Sort of a follow-up to the last Board of Regents meeting when we discussed deferred maintenance and how we've been funding that over the last few years. When we get to the budget report, we'll discuss this, but we were able, given our forecast of positive variances in the budget, we wanted to restore the deferred maintenance funding back to the full 5 million. You'll remember, we started with 5 million. We stayed at 5 million, but we took $500,000 for IT deferred maintenance, which left the physical deferred maintenance down at 4.5. Then last year we did pull back a lot of different places in the budget, and this was one. But now that we have shored up our tuition forecast, we wanted to make this amendment to the operating budget. The reports, they are all routine. We have 5 of them are each quarter, and then we have one that's annual. We'll start on page 18 with the quarterly investment report. These are our cash balances as of November 30th. You'll see, compared to last year, as of November 30th, we have improved our cash position. And then as of August 31st, the end of last fiscal year, we've actually improved it. Usually in the fall, we spend down a little bit, but we'll talk about the cycle of the biennia, the way our funding works. The first year of a biennium is usually better, so no surprises there. And you will see a lot has happened in a year from a bond proceeds standpoint. We had $242 million in the bank, and Rick got busy and spent $152 million in 12 months. So,
A little bit.
yeah, which is a good thing. We look forward to those going down even further. Interest rates holding around 4%. I know there's a lot of talk out there about what's going to happen with the new Fed chair, but we'll continue to watch that, certainly. And then on page 20 is our balance of cash reserves over time. The easiest way to say this, from a cash standpoint, odd numbered years are good and even numbered years are bad. That's because we get funded on a biennial basis, and so those odd number years, you'll see the reserve grow, and then the even number years, it'll go back down, and it's just the cycle that it runs at. Page 21 is the pledged collateral report. We did have sufficient collateral again this quarter. And then on page 22, we did mail you the hard copy of the annual financial report. 79 pages of the highest quality financial information you will ever see. So we'll start on page 1. No, we won't.
No. They read every word.
Yeah. We do have some extra copies here. They've been flying off the shelves lately, but if you want to grab one, probably have a few. There's a summary in the front of this that's about 10 pages long called the Management Discussion and Analysis. That's a 10-page summary. Here in the book, we have a 2-page summary, page 22 and 23. So, and we've talked about, this is the formal report that is sent to the governor's office that the bond rating agencies review on a full accrual basis. We usually budget on a modified accrual or cash basis. So the story in these numbers is not new. It's just presented a little differently in accordance with accounting standards. You'll see the last few years, the one note on the balance sheet, our capital assets are going up significantly as we put more buildings on the ground. And then we do, for the balance sheet, you'll see at the bottom of page 22, a cash on hand ratio. It's a liquidity ratio. Our cash on hand has been going down the last few years, but that was by design as we plow into growth and invest in our portfolio. And you will remember, it's always a good time to say, this is where we are different from corporations. We are not trying to make a profit. We are not trying to build retained earnings. It's better for us to invest these dollars. So we will continue to watch this ratio. Then on page 23 is the income statement. Again, we've told this story, fiscal year 25 was an investment year. And so down at the bottom, you'll see the operating margin ratios there. 24, we were at 4%, and from an accrual basis, we basically broke even last year, but definitely still in the range of our peers in the bond rating categories. Page 24 is the first quarter budget performance report. We do have a forecast for the fiscal year, but we will say this is the toughest forecast. We only have 3 months of data to forecast a full year on, and so it definitely comes with an asterisk. Good news is we are forecasting tuition higher than budgeted. Right now we're at 78. I could, just in the last few weeks since we published this, I could see it settling down, maybe 77. But it's strong. We should definitely hit budget. And for the expenses, we have gotten through our annual merit cycle, which was in November. And so we have a pretty good handle on our payroll costs and what those should look like moving forward. So overall, right now, we have a forecast of a couple $2 million surplus, in addition to saving $3 million that we set aside when we created the budget to help fund future years. So it could be $2 million, it could be 0, but we'll continue to watch it, and our forecast will get clearer as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year. Any questions on the budget report? All right. 2 more, the quarterly real estate lease report. This was authority that was delegated to management from the board, and so we report back each quarter on leases. Airplane parking is quite a lucrative business, I think. It's not a lot of places to park big airplanes, and so we're in that business a little bit. And we did have a new lease after we acquired that last parcel of land in Midlothian. There is a company there that's leasing. We leased that back to for a few years as they transition out. And then finally, the quarterly report for contracts greater than $1 million. And believe it or not, this will get shorter in the near future as we wrap up the CCAP projects, close out those contracts. We did have 3 new contracts you'll see in blue. Mike, would you like to pronounce that word?
Volkswagen.
Yeah, that's our mobile trainer that Cledia's procured, and so we're excited about that. And then the other 2, Ed Financial and SHI Government Solutions, those have been long-standing contracts, but they have just now exceeded the $1 million threshold as we grow. I hope I didn't go too fast, maybe not fast enough, but any questions I can answer or thoughts?
Really glad to see the deferred maintenance bumped up again. Thank you all for taking that into consideration.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely a priority. Thank you.
Thank you. So a couple things I'd like to, or one thing I'd like to mention, we talked about when I was driving during our meeting, I was going to the San Antonio Association of Manufacturers meeting or luncheon. And so I've had the opportunity to meet with, I don't know, gosh, there's 22 manufacturing associations across the state of Texas. And when folks find out that I'm involved with TSDC, I end up having a group of people around me saying, hey, you guys are doing great things. how do we get a campus? How do we expand? How does, yeah, so, I mean, it's very interesting.
It's only $250 million.
Yeah, I mean, enough money and enough time, we can do almost anything, so.
Get in
but,
line.
No, but I mean, we really, our reputation is unbelievable throughout Texas. I mean, I think it's really, we should be really proud, and we're really serving a market and a need that is just gonna continue to grow. So it's pretty, I think it's very exciting, so. So that is, so Chairman, that completes our report, so that's it.
Very good, thank you. I'll now call on Keith Honey, Chair of our Facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our committee met virtually Monday, February 9th. Had a good review of what's happening in the facilities area. And I would like to ask Rick to take us through the 1-minute order, and he has 3 reports for us. And there's one update in this on the left-hand side that, of one of the inclusions in the report that's been updated. And I'm sure Rick will talk about that.
So the 1-minute order we have is actually rescinding a project. We established a project for a drainage improvement at Waco. It was a separate line item, standalone by itself. But when we actually demoed all those homes, when we got the $29 million appropriation from the state, we had enough funds there to fix the drainage in Waco with a major improvement. And since then, we've reevaluated that with our engineer, and he believes that the improvements we made were sufficed to address the needs that we had identified. So we are rescinding the drainage project and removing it from our project list. I do have 3 reports, and as Regent Honey pointed out in your folder, the certification quarterly report did have a typo on the far right column. The far right column is the date that we actually submit that report to the co-board. And to refresh your memory on this one, we had an oversight in my division where we failed to notify the coordinating board about all the major projects that we had. It was all those CCAP projects that we started many years ago. What we did to correct it is we did issue a minute order allowing you all to delegate the authority for us to submit those reports on your behalf. The report is a informational report. It's not a request for approval. It's not anything like that. In that report, we make some declarations of whether or not the structures or improvements that we're making comply or meet the criteria that the co-board establishes for gen ed facilities or higher ed facilities. And obviously we don't meet that criteria because we're not traditional higher ed. The lab sizes that we use in comparison to traditional higher ed are far greater. The ratio of students per square foot is different because we are different in our offering. So again, it's an informational report. It was an oversight by myself. And our commitment is to submit a quarterly report to you, notifying you when we do submit that report on your behalf to the board. And this is cleaning up the error that we made, and that's why you see an exhaustive list on that quarterly report. The second report is the major facilities project report. We converted that to a financial report to show you where we are on our expenditures. The red font items are the new items, and the yellow column represents the amount of money that we've actually exhausted or committed for those various projects. There is nothing here of any major significance. It's just updating where we are on our expenditures. The last report is new to the board book, but it's not new to the report submission. What I had been doing in the past is submitting the construction update report on the handout folder, and I've adjusted it to just include it on the board book. This way you have it with plenty of time before the meeting in case you have any questions associated with our construction statuses. Any questions, comments?
Okay, Rick, thank you very much. Thanks to you and your team and Kevin and his team for continuing to do a great job. I think as you look through that report on the construction, you'll see that virtually all of the projects are within budget and a lot of them below budget, and essentially completed or planned to be completed on time. There's a few little issues with some equipment deliveries, but very minor in the scope of things. So great job by his Rick and Kevin and their teams on all the facilities. So with that, Mr. Chairman, unless there's any other questions, that concludes my report.
Great report, great progress. You know, I independently for the several times over the last several weeks, the last one being last Saturday, I get text messages from people that know me that as they drive through Waco, and it goes, "Wow, what are you guys doing in Waco? That looks awesome." So that's a great TSTC billboard on the side of the highway there that cost us $50 million, but it's a nice billboard. It looks really good.
And it's open.
And
It's open.
There's
Yeah.
classes.
Oh, there, oh, very good. I did not know that. Awesome.
That's awesome.
While you're on the topic, we'll send you a hold the date for the ribbon cutting on that building, which will be late March.
Late March.
Right. So, so if you'd like to attend, we know the Commissioner of Higher Ed has committed to be there, and that there are a lot of various construction VIPs from across the state who are going to be there. So if you'd care to attend, we would welcome you being there. You'll be blown away by that building.
The board meeting in March?
Combine something.
Very good. Well, thank you. I'll now call on Dr. Kathy Stewart, Chair of the General Administration Committee.
All right, thank you very much. Our General Administration Working Group met virtually on Monday, February the 9th. The team provided updates on past and current initiatives, as well as just general updates on what they were all doing. Each of the divisions that fall under general administration are focused on enhancement, improvement, and growth for the college. And that's everything from onboarding new hires to maturing teammates through professional development while ensuring that equipment and processes are top-notch and up to date. And the intentionality of the leadership team is something that is to be very proud of. We have 4-minute orders to present to the board today. The first one would be from Dale Bunday. If you would please join us. Actually, he has 2-minute orders.
So the first one is to approve the service agreement for workday support with ERP analysts. We've been working with ERP analyst or ERPA for since June of 2023. They help us with the day-to-day support on our workday system, which is a platform for finance, HR, payroll, a lot of other core services, use student information as well. They help us with maintenance, troubleshooting, enhancements, integrations. When we get new releases or updates, they help us with those as well. With the upcoming contract renewal, we will exceed the $1 million threshold and require board approval. Any questions on that one? The next one is approved technology equipment lease agreement. So we maintain a large inventory of equipment, technology equipment. It needs to be refreshed on a regular basis so that they remain reliable, secure, and supported. And that includes things like laptops, desktops, even thin clients for our virtual desktops. We want to lease the equipment. That provides us alternatives instead of trying to do a bulk purchase up front. It also helps us just better plan and manage those resources over time instead of hanging on to resources that are outdated or no longer supported. The initial lease that we want to do is going to also exceed the $1 million threshold and require board approval.
Any questions for Dale? Thank you. Okay, our next minute order will be presented by Pamela Melville.
Greetings, everyone. Wow, we have a lot going on here at TSDC, as you can see. For your consideration, it's my privilege to request your approval of minute order GA0326C. And it is located, if you want to follow along, on pages 46 and 47 of the GA section in your binder. And it simply states to establish our TSDC employee holiday schedule for fiscal year 2027. And this will give our employees personal time to rest, recover, reflect, rejuvenate, get their sanity back, and just in their own unique way so that we can continue to serve this great state of Texas. And so thank you so much for your time and your consideration of this request.
Do we have any questions for Pam? Thank you. And then our last minute order, we'll ask Claudia Hernandez to present to us, please.
Good morning. So we are requesting approval for minute order GA 04-26C. This minute order is requesting the approval of the board for consideration of naming the student lounge at the work site after Hal Whitaker. Our SOS allows the chancellor and the board to be able to identify an individual that has provided extraordinary levels of support for TSTC. Hal Whitaker has been a devoted supporter of TSTC for many years in several roles that he's played. He was instrumental in getting the work site to become what it is today. He unfortunately was not able to see the doors open, but we know that he would be very proud of what it's become and will continue to become. And so we are requesting approval for the student lounge at the work site to be named in his honor.
Thank you. Do you have, anyone have any questions? Thank you, Claudia. All right, that concludes our report, unless anyone has any other questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And that concludes our committee section of the agenda, so we'll now recess the open meeting. The open meeting of TSTC Board of Regents on Thursday, February 12, 2026, after proper posting and for the specific purposes provided in the Texas Open Meeting Act, including those in subchapter D, will recess and the closed meeting will begin shortly. The Regents will move to, I guess, room 171. Is that one? Okay. To conduct a closed meeting. When the closed meeting is adjourned, the board will reconvene in the open meeting. Current time is 11:54 a.m. Public may now please retire.
We will go there.
Bada bing, bada boom.
All right. All right, we will now reconvene. The open meeting of the TSTC Board of Regents reconvenes at 12:34 p.m. We will now consider the consent agenda. At this time, any regent can request that an item or items be removed from the consent agenda so that it can be considered by the board as a separate action item. Regents, are there any such amendments to the consent agenda?
Chairman, I would like to make a motion to remove SL 02-26C and SL 03-26C regarding the Faculty Senate from the consent agenda, and that those minute orders be referred to an ad hoc committee for further study and recommendation to the board by the May board meeting.
So moved. Thank you, Lizzie. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ron. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Is there any further discussion on items covered during the closed session today?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that the board approve proposed minute order CS 01-26.
So moved. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Is there any new business? Chancellor, do you have any comments?
I have.
Just for a second.
Oops.
We haven't approved. Yeah, thank you, Counselor. Well, so we removed those two items, but we did not approve the consent agenda.
What remained?
Yes.
So, thank you, Curtis.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Got that cleared up. We're
Good
good?
catch, good catch.
Perfect.
Yes.
Good catch, good catch. All right, so Chancellor.
I do. I have two things. The first is, I'm sure I speak on behalf of faculty when I say that I'm sure they truly appreciate the care that you're taking with the laws regarding faculty senate that were handed to us by the legislature. And we look forward to working with you during the next few months as you handle this really important matter. We really thank you on that. And the second is, Andy, if you don't mind standing. Andy is the provost of West Texas. He's been with us forever. And although he looks a bit like Ernest Hemingway, he's not. Andy, I just want to thank you and the events team for the wonderful hospitality that you provided us here in West Texas. It's been a really wonderful meeting. Thank you.
You know, I keep wondering at these meetings that we go to, so, man, they're not going to outdo themselves this time.
Every time.
Yes, they did.
Yeah,
It was
better and better.
fantastic meeting. Really appreciate it. It was very, very nice last night. And very nice.
Yes.
It's a week to remember.
A week to remember.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
really
We did.
pretty cool.
So now the next Board of Regents meeting, it's scheduled for May 14th down at Fort Bend campus. Looking forward to that. We've got a lot of neat things going on there. Regents, do we have any final comments before we adjourn? Well, again, thank you all very much for hosting us and for a fantastic evening. Thanks for all the hard work. Some great reports, some great vision and all that. So really appreciate everything that the team's doing. We've got a good thing here, and you know, I was thinking about it when you look at the programs that we approved and the programs that we're sunsetting and why TSTC, the magic of TSTC is that we're adaptive to what the state needs and what the industry needs, you know, from leadership team to the faculty and staff, to the program chairs, to the advisory boards that tell the people what we need to put out a great product. It's why we got a 9 to 10% every year over year, increase in attendance. So we're doing good things, and so thanks to everybody for all of that. And so with that, being no further business of the TSTC Board of Regents, we will call this at 12:39 p.m. Thank you. Safe travels, everybody.
Thank you.